Hello and welcome to Enots Engineering. I'm Alan. In the last video we finished making the work table. In this video we'll start making the tool holder. That involves some faceplate work and some 4-jaw chuck offset work. So let's start. This is the base of the workside assembly. All I've done is emery cloth the two faces, draw file the two edges and square up the one end. I'm going to leave the other end because that'll be put in the lathe and a radius will be turned on that, so there's no point in filing that square. This will make up the sides of the work holder, and all I'm doing is draw filing I've got a fine-ish file, just draw filing it so I'll take off the sharp edges and get a flat on the sides. I've filed the edges square, I've emery clothed the face, I've marked up black felt tip on the ends, so these three ends are my datum. This side hasn't been cut or trimmed, that'll be done in the lathe. I've marked a line 1/2 inch down, I don't know whether it will show on the camera, and 1 inch up, which is the middle of the bar. The next job is to centre punch that, scribe an arc here, mark 2 holes here, then drill the holes. Putting an end mill in just to get a flat bottom on the hole I've just drilled. What we've done today, we've got the base of the tool holder, taken the sharp edges off, squared up the one end. This end's still rough because we're going to machine that in the lathe. Marked out the position of those holes and drilled them. This is the main will be the 6mm hole, but it's only been drilled out at 5 and that's now ready for reaming. We've also marked out, filed the side, marked out the positions of the holes, drilled the counterboard, and that will be fitted on there next, and we've done the one for the other side. So the next job to do is draw file the tool holder bar, so that will fit there. Position the one side rail so it's level on the edge and grips the bar. Clamp it, drill through and tap the holes, and then do the same on the other side, so this will move, slide in and out without any play. Right, this is the tool holder assembly. I've also drilled and tapped a hole in the side for a drill fixture. Drill through the 2 holes on each side. The bottom's countersunk for to take the nut. I've set the tool holder base on a faceplate using the 6mm hole that's in the tool holder onto my centre, just to set it up central. I've got these aluminium triangles which I've drilled to use as clamping straps, and I've also put some extra bolts here with some washers on as a bit of weight to counteract the weight on this side. I've also set a dial indicator that touches the saddle, so when I come up to the face of this plate I don't hit the face with the tool. This faceplate's not the original for this lathe. When I bought the lathe it didn't come with a faceplate, it was a second-hand lathe. I acquired this and I believe it was off a grinding machine, but it has the same thread as the headstock and fits okay, except that it's probably about 2.5 inches bigger in diameter than the normal faceplate would have been. So on a normal faceplate this end of the workpiece will probably be hanging over the edge, whereas on this one it's still within inside the faceplate, so I'm just going to be careful not to take too much off the faceplate. You can see the dial indicator. As I come up to the faceplate, should go round one full rev and half. Start to touch now. Because I've got the centre covered, it's difficult to check the diameter of this that I'm producing. So the way around that is I've just come off cutting this. I haven't touched the tool. The tool is still at the same setting. In the centre here I've put a dell pin which is 0.3. So all I've got to do is measure across the dell pin to the cutter tip. And at the moment that's 4.062. It should be 4.15, but don't forget I've got half of that, 4.21 at the moment. You have to add half the dowel on because I'm measuring from this side of the dowel to the edge of the cutter. That's the finished 15 degree, and I've noticed I've just broke into the hole where the Allen screw is. Here I've just set a thread cutting tool which is sidewards in the tool holder, using the centre to get the height. I'm just setting the top of the tool slide parallel before I scribe the 0 line. So I've set my dial indicator to near enough 0 there. Move it across to the centre, and I'm checking on the second part, which is about 0.1 millimetre below 0. Now, on this side checking the second level, which is just about 0.5. I don't think I can get any closer than that. So that'll do for scribing the line. Right, I've set the tool in there. So I'll bring it up to the face, move it in. Set your dividers in the bottom to give you the width of a 10-degree segment. Using the 0 mark off your 10-degree angle. Then bring your plate round so that that second mark lines up with your tool. Score the line, mark 10 degrees on the other side of 0 and score a second line. I've put the 1-inch square bar in the chuck, 4-jaw chuck, and clocked up the face on each side to read 0, so I know the bar's true. I've then slackened off one jaw about 1/4 inch, and on the other jaw, without touching it, I've put in 1/4 inch packing, so it's moved the whole bar 1/4 inch out, and I then retighten the jaw. So next job is to turn the end of the bar until it blends in. The next job is to put a chamfer, 45-degree chamfer on the front. So I'm going to alter the top slide to 45 degrees. Now I'm going to reset the 4-jaw chuck back to where it was. I'm just slackening this off, taking out the 1/4 inch packing strip. And put the dial indicator now and recheck that it's central. So I've set the dial indicator so the plunger tip is at centre line by adjusting the tool height. Just touch the job, set it to 0, pull the plunger out, turn it round 180, put the plunger in, get the lowest reading, which is there. So it was 0 before, this side's up there, so halve the difference. So I have to slacken this side off, tighten the opposite side up, reset the 0. Zero, down 10th there, slacken that off a bit, tighten the opposite side up, re-0, just rocking the chuck to get the lowest reading on each face. Looks okay there. This side. Zero. Opposite side. 0. There's too much chatter on that, so what I'll do is I'll saw that off. It's not worth risking smashing me parting off tool because it is standing out about 3 or 4 inches out of the chuck. I've set the boring bar up and I'm boring out the tool holder to 5/8. Now you can ream that as it says on the drawing, but I haven't got a 5/8 reamer, which is 0.625. So at the moment I'm just boring it out. I've drilled it out to 1/2 inch and I'm boring it out to 0.625. Size at the moment is 0.543. Now I've set the boring bar up by parallel with the side of the job. I've put a dial indicator on the slide. I've put the gears on to give me a 0.3 traverse per revolution. So I'll put the cut on, see how we go. 624.5. I think I'll leave it at that. So all I need to do now is take it out, turn it round and face the length to size. The finish is not too bad. Just got to face this off. Two and 3/4, so I've got nearly 1/4 of an inch to come off this end. So I just put it back in the the chuck went it the same way. Nip up the two jaws. It's not so critical that it's running true now because I'm only facing the end. Time I've drilled the two holes and tapped them in the block, so that block's finished. I've drilled the hole in the top, marked on the centre, scribed a line there, and I've drilled and tapped two holes in the bottom of this which line up with these two, tapped them, so that's now fit. I've fitted a dial indicator on the lathe bed. Now this will tell me when the carriage comes to the end of the thread, so I can turn the motor off. I've located the part in between centres and I'm driving it with a driving peg, and I've clamped a drive dog onto the part. That's just a simple casting that clamps onto the part and allows you to drive the bar. I'm holding the job between centres so that when I've done some screw cutting I can take the job out, test it with a nut and replace it back in the lathe in exactly the same position. Once I engage the lathe split nut I can't disengage it, otherwise I'll lose a position. I've got the back gear on. The speed is about 40 revs per minute. Take the cut off. Reverse the motor. You can see we've still got plenty of parts to make, so I better get back into the workshop.